A lot of the times changing your strings is overlooked. You know, you might go a year, maybe you don't play your ukulele all that often, maybe you play it all the time, and all of a sudden it kind of starts sounding out of tune, or maybe the notes aren't quite right, and the first thing you say is like, oh, my ukulele, or it's something I'm doing wrong, and you start getting frustrated. But just like a computer or any sort of device, the first thing you want to do is change the ukulele strings, or like a computer, you just turn it off and turn it on. So this is something that is a skill that I think everyone should have in their back pocket, but it can be very, very daunting. So I'm here to sort of walk you through it and help you through that first time, or maybe it's not your first time and you just need a refresher. But either way, just to walk you through how to change your strings so that it's not so scary, or it refreshes your memory and gets you back on track to playing. Who am I, and why should I teach you how to change your strings? So I've been playing ukulele since 2014, which really isn't all that long, but it started off as a hobby and has gradually ramped up, and I've been teaching now for, I guess, almost 4 years, both adults and children. And my husband is also a musician. So we joined forces with our musical knowledge, and we've created the Murphy Music Group. And so now our dream is to create music for people of all ages, and to just create a musical community. And so having strings on your ukulele is very important. And we want you to be able to change them yourself and know how to do regular maintenance on your instrument. And if you don't, or if you don't want to and you're not interested, by all means, you can always drop it off to us and we'll take care of you. And take a look. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to show you the blog on our website. I'm going to get us started there to go over some supplies that you need and exactly what this event is about. All right. So this is on our website, Murphy Music Group. If you guys type in murphymusicgroup.com, it'll take you to this website, and you can hover your mouse over the different headers up here in our navigation, and you can see Crystal Murphy Music, Bodoc Records, and the Murphy Music Group. And this event here lies in our blog. And I created it just to have a supply list for you. So if you haven't had a chance to gather your supplies yet, you can go ahead and do it as I go over what supplies you'll need tonight. Okay, so this is a ukulele restringing party. So if you don't have your ukulele, or if you have a lot of ukuleles, pick one. And we're going to put new strings on that together tonight. So the first thing you need, I don't even have it listed, is your ukulele. So I have mine. Check. All right, you're going to need a tuner. And we here at the Murphy Music household are a snark family. Now, you can use any kind of tuner you have. I even have people that like to use pitch pipes. I don't even know where to find those anymore, but it works. You can tune to a piano. You can use an app on your phone. You can use any brand you like. But basically, we like these tuners because pretend like this is a ukulele. It clips on the end of your ukulele. You turn it on, you pluck a string, and it tells you what note it is. So it goes off the vibrations of your strings and tells you the frequency. It's very, very accurate. So it's a great tool to have. And I actually keep mine on my ukulele even when I play, so because I'm constantly tuning, right? Especially where we are now. This is our brand new studio that we built on the 3rd floor of our house. Through the blanket over here, we have soundproof blankets, is actually the loft recording studio where we record our music. But there's no heating or cooling, so the temperature, it's very, very cold. And then when I'm in here doing shows like this, I have a little heater, so it warms back up. And the constant temperature change causes my strings to go way out of tune. And my 2-year-old doesn't help that he likes to turn the tuning pegs. So I always have this on my ukulele because I'm always tuning. All right, so tuner, check. All right, you need your strings. Now, this can get really hairy when you have to pick your strings. I have these D'Addario ukulele strings. I have experimented, actually not with a lot of strings. Honestly, I usually go to my local music store because sometimes when I type in the Google search ukulele strings, there's like a million that pop up. There's so many choices and I just don't know what to pick. So if I can, I go to my local music store and I just see what they have and then I kind of just buy their selection. So I've tried maybe 3 or 4 different kinds, and I say kinds because, you know, each brand has many different types. But I sort of have tried the latest on my soprano ukulele back here, and I really, really love them. So I made sure to order these again. All right. If you have trouble or feel overwhelmed about ordering your strings, I created another blog post. We only have 2 so far. It's a new website. There's another blog post that I made just all about how I go about ordering strings and what you need to know. So along with the strings, hopefully you have chosen the strings based on the size of ukulele that you have. So I know that my ukulele is a soprano. If you are unsure of what kind of or size of ukulele you have, you can measure it. And then you can go on our blog post and see the different lengths and measurements, or honestly, you can just Google it, whatever is easier, and find out what size ukulele you have, and then make sure you order your strings for the correct size. If you don't order the correct size, what will happen is the strings will be too short. So if you have a soprano ukulele and you order strings for a tenor, not going to be a big deal, okay, as long as it's the same tuning. Because what's going to happen is your string's just going to be super, super long. But if you have a tenor and you order soprano strings, well, it's not going to work. They're going to be too short. So keep that in mind when you order. All right. So strings. There we go. Peg winder. This is optional. It's not needed. I was practicing tonight to make sure I remembered my knots. And I did not have it downstairs and I was too lazy to come upstairs. So I used my hand to wind the strings. But if you have one handy, this is my version of a peg winder. It's sort of also a multi-tool. But this end right here is the peg winder. And what it does is it goes around the peg of your ukulele and it just spins around and it helps you wind and unwind your pegs really fast. Okay. And then it also has this little snipper tool. Okay, so that's optional, not needed. Don't freak out if you don't have it. Totally cool. All right, and then you need 2 towels that you don't mind getting dirty. So as you can see behind me, let's see if I can zoom in here a little bit. I have a 1 towel that's laid down. And this is just because if you're working on a hard surface like a table, you don't want to scratch your ukulele. And then my other towel is rolled up. And I'm going to place it under, like kind of where the nut is, right under the neck of the ukulele, so that the head is elevated off of the table. Again, just to protect the parts of your ukulele. So it's almost like your ukulele is getting a massage. It's definitely going to be pampered. All right. And then you need some nail clippers. Now, if you have your peg winder with a multi-tool that has a snipper, you don't necessarily need nail clippers. Okay? But you will need something to cut your strings, and nail clippers work really, really well to cut your strings. All right, check. And then the last thing is some needle nose pliers. I don't always use these, but a lot of people have found them really handy when you're tightening your knots. So again, optional, you may not use them, but they're really nice to have handy. Okay. And then the last thing I have over here is a pin, and I'll explain that in just a moment. All right, so again, if you try this at home, or if you're having trouble and you're like, Crystal, can you do my strings for me? And Annie, I know you're in California, so that wouldn't work. But Betty, maybe you'd just rather drop it off.
Yes,
you can do that. You just click right here. No way, man. I'd rather drop it off and have you guys do a complete tune-up. So you would just email us and let us know when you're coming by. No problem. All right. So I want to go back to the strings really quick and tell you why I have a pin in my supply list here. And that's because my husband, Nick, there he is in the picture, so handsome. This is a picture from one of our parties, our restringing parties back in the day. He had some helpful tips that I use that I think are really, really helpful, that I wouldn't normally think about your strings. And one is he recommends saving the empty pack from your strings and writing the date you changed them. And he does this for a few reasons. Oh, and also the instrument model. If you are changing strings on a lot of your instruments or you have a collection of ukuleles. If each ukulele has a bag, you can put the strings inside, like I have, like my ukulele has, you know, a gig bag, and then it has this little pocket, and this is where I keep the strings, right? That's really handy. So that way I know that on that ukulele, I've used these strings, and this was the last time I changed my strings. Yes, I am ashamed. And I would change this one, except it's a low G and I didn't order a low G. Isn't that so silly? All right. So anyway, so yeah, after you change your strings, you want to write the date you changed them, and then you can also make notes, like after you've played them for a while, if you don't like the strings, maybe you write like do not like or put a big X through them, or if you love them, you could say like love these, order again. Because sometimes life happens and it's been a year since you've changed your strings and you don't remember. Are these the ones that are on my ukulele, or did I like them? Like what happened in that year, right? So that's his advice. And then he just says, keep playing and make that sweet music. All right, another thing, and I'll go over this again, but just to keep in mind, I'll say it many times. After you change your strings on your ukulele, the new strings will constantly be out of tune, okay? I'll say it one more time. When you change your new strings, they will constantly be out of tune. It's nothing you did wrong. It's not your fault. It's not the strings. It's not your ukulele. It's just the fact that they need to stretch. And I do not recommend pulling on them. Some people recommend like pulling up on the strings. That makes me cringe. In my mind, you should just play more. The more you play, the more you tune, the more they stretch, and then they'll equal out quicker, okay? All right. So does anybody have a question about supplies? Are we good? All right, cool. So let's get started. So first of all, there are many, I'm gonna say it one more time, many methods and opinions on how to change your strings and how to replace them. So just because I'm showing you one method doesn't mean that it's the right way for you to do it. Or if you prefer to do it a different way, by all means, please do, okay? This is just how I do it. I've done it many, many times. It works for me. And so that's what I'm gonna show you tonight. If you're like, I've seen it done this way, that's great, okay? And they all work, nothing is wrong. So right here on the blog, you can see helpful tutorials. And I'm gonna keep screen sharing here just for a minute because I absolutely love this website, and this is the one that we normally have pulled up when we're doing our workshops and groups. All right, this is very, very cool. So right here, it's got your ukulele sizing guide. So again, if you're unsure what kind of ukulele you have, just break out a tape measure, and you can see right here the different sizes from the neck to the end of the body. All right, it talks about different string materials. I'm not going to get into all that. You can read it at your leisure. All right, it's got some supplies here. We already went over our supplies. I'm going to talk to you about what kind of stringing I'm going to teach you how to do tonight. So you can see right here the different types of bridges. And just to quickly go over what a bridge is. A bridge is this wood piece that is glued onto your ukulele. And then this piece right here that your strings sit on is called the saddle. So I like to remember, I always had a hard time remembering that. I like to remember it because I think of the saddle like on a horse. So the bridge is like the horse and the saddle is on the horse and the strings go sit on the saddle. Okay. So horse, saddle, strings. Strings sit on the saddle, which is on the horse or the bridge. And I can see when I hold my ukulele like this, from my angle point of view, lots of dust. So I'm very excited to change my strings because I'm also going to dust my ukulele and clean and all those little crevices that I wouldn't normally be able to get to. All right. It's really crazy how much you can see when you take off these strings and really look. You can also see some wear and tear on my fretboard. That kind of makes me feel good. It means I'm playing. Okay. So tonight we're going to talk about a tie bridge, which you can see in this first picture here. This is also the type of the bridge I have on my own ukulele here. Right here. So this is the one where you have to tie the knots, and it's really the most daunting because the other kinds of bridges you don't really have to tie knots. A slotted bridge, you just tie a little overhand knot that we all know how to do, like a shoelace, and then you just slip it in the slot. So we're going to go over this one here. And you can see right here the colored strings and then the picture right below it. You can see how the ends of the strings are sort of underlapped one another, so they lay really nicely against the bridge. This one is really cool. The colored strings is really cool too. I can't say I've ever done that, but I can imagine how it could be done. But we're going to do this one here that I'm circling with my cursor. So all the strings are going to lay, and when I say upward, I mean as if you were holding a ukulele, all of the underlapping strings would be pointing up towards your face, okay? And the reason why I do that is because if I leave the ends of the strings, even if they're short, they tend to catch on my arm as I'm strumming. It might just be the way I hold it or the position of my arm, but the soft side of my forearm, I mean, it's like baby soft there. And when those, even though they're nylon strings, if they rub across my arm a lot, it really, really irritates my arm. So I like to have them all underlapped and all neatly tucked in. So I'm going to teach you guys how to do that too. But is it necessary? No. As long as you tie the knot correctly and it's secure on your ukulele, you're going to be able to play it. All right, so let's stop here and let's go ahead and take off our first string, okay? And then we're going to go over how to make a knot. There are a couple different thoughts around taking your strings off your ukulele. And one is to get a very deep clean. You can take all of your strings off at one time and really, really get in all the crevices and have no obstructions, okay? The second way of thinking is that you should take off your strings one at a time so that you can maintain the tension of the strings, right? Because when your strings are pulled tight, there's always tension on the body. So if you release that tension, your ukulele is just going to fly apart into pieces. No, I'm just kidding. It's not. So it's really up to you how you want to take your strings off, okay? For the sake of tonight, I'm going to go ahead and what am I going to do? I haven't even decided. I'm going to do mine one at a time. I'll do it one at a time and I'll clean as I go. All right, so I'm going to grab a little polishing cloth too so that I can sort of clean my fretboard and the body while I'm taking my strings off. So I'm going to take my peg winder and I'm actually going to start with my A string. And the reason why I'm starting with my A string is because I want all of my strings tucked under one another to go in an upward motion so that when I hold my ukulele, all of the strings are up, right? So that way it's not catching down here. This is just my personal preference. If you would rather have your strings overlapping each other in a downward motion, you'll do it the opposite and start with your G string, okay? For tonight, we're going to start with our A string. All right, so I'm going to take my peg winder. You can also do this with your hand. And I'm going to turn it an A away from me, right? I'm going to turn until the string comes off.
Is the string loosening up? I don't see it. I don't feel it loosening.
What's that?
I don't feel the string loosening.
Oh, it takes a lot of turns.
Oh, okay.
I mean, the peg winder is nice because it really makes fast work
It seems
of loosening. So just keep turning.
I think the peg winder is very good.
It's a nice tool to have. I didn't have one for a really long time. And then my husband bought me one, and it was really impressive how fast it could change the strings.
You said turn it away from you, right? So
yeah, so if you're looking at it,
yeah.
Maybe I'm doing it opposite. Pluck it and turn it. And if it goes up, then turn it the other way.
Oh, it is loose. It is definitely loose. Okay.
Good. All right, so while I have that string off, I'm just going to take my polishing cloth and I'm going to just rub underneath where the string normally goes on the body. Oh yeah, that's so dusty. All right, just going to polish it up nice. There's lots of other things you can buy to do maintenance on your ukulele. You can buy like some oils to oil your fretboard. If you have any, sometimes on ukuleles, the sides of your frets will kind of catch, or they'll have like a burr on them. You can buy some really light, it's not sandpaper, but it's like a polishing paper that will sand down your frets a little bit so they don't catch. I'm just rubbing on my fretboard, just dusting in between the frets. I mean, it is really crazy how much dust gets in there and you just don't see it. All right, and then I'm especially going to clean up here, right? I'm going to clean around my tuning pegs. I'm going to clean around the nut, really get into all those crevices. All right, I'm unveiling the new strings. Whoop! So nice. Okay. So when you open your strings, there should be a key. I know it's kind of hard to see on the camera, but there is a guide that tells you either they have like the tip of the string is going to be a different color, or maybe they're packaged in individual wrappers. So one way or another, the packaging should tell you what string is tuned to what note. For example, on my D'Addarios here, it tells me that my A string is going to be silver. So I have these stickers on the end of each string. And here is my silver sticker. So I know that this is going to be my A string, okay? I'm just going to slip these back inside because I don't want to lose them.
Oh, mine is all separately packaged.
Oh, that's nice. Which strings did you decide to go with? The Martins?
No, I'm not going to try. I'm going to try something. Oh, yeah, it is Martin.
Nice. I used those same strings when I was practicing earlier.
Mm-hmm.
They're nice. They're like a really nice, bright, traditional sound. Okay. So let's go over. I'm going to show a tutorial. And I'm going to share my screen and just to go over the knot.
To tie your knot. You'll have a long end and a shorter end. Bring the shorter end of the string behind the longer end and create a loop or a hole. Bring the end of the string under the loop you've created. The end of your string now goes through the loop that you've created twice. Loop, de-loo. Pull it through.
All right, let's watch that again.
So when I say loop, de-loo, hopefully that helps you remember to loop twice. You'll have a long end and a shorter end. Bring the shorter end of the string behind the longer end and create a loop or hole. Bring the end of the string under the loop you've created. The end of your string now goes through the loop that you've created twice. Loop, de-loo. Pull it through. So when I say loop, de-loo, hopefully that helps you remember to loop twice through the hole. I really hope that you found this helpful. If you want to learn how to play the ukulele or the guitar, or if you want some more tips and tricks, there's going to be some cards over here and here and here.
All right. We're going to watch one more. Just going to help us with the knots.
The end. Loop the end of the string under, over, and back through the loop you just created. Loop the string one more time. Since these strings are not wound, they need to be looped twice to prevent slipping. Pinch the end of the string against the tie block to ensure that the knot rests on the edge, and then pull tight. Here's an enlarged version of what we just showed you. Take the other end of the string and thread it through.
All right, so we're going to pause there because this is the part that a lot of people find daunting. All right, so you got your string. Here's what I always do. I always think inside out. Okay, so I'm going to take the end of my string. Let me zoom back in here. All right, so I'm taking the end of my string. Kind of hard to see. There we go. And I'm going to thread it from the inside of the bridge to the outside. Like that. All right. Now this is where having the right size of the string based on the size of your ukulele is really important. And you'll find out quickly if you didn't get the right size. I'm going to take this little sticker off, right? Little string indicator sticker. I don't need it anymore. And now, because we are wanting to underlay the end of this string under our other ones, we want to leave a little more at the end. Okay? So I want to leave somewhat of a generous amount on the end, as long as I have enough to wind at the top. Okay? And when I say enough, it's just maybe 5 inches. Okay, 5 or 6 inches at the top. And that might even be a little much. Okay. So, this is where the knot Don't be scared, because if you don't get this right the first time, which you're going to, but if you don't, you just do it again. These strings are not one time and done. Okay, so you can restring this A string with the same string 10 times. Okay. All right, so I'm going to put my string under. So I have the end of my string is going to go under the other string. And then I'm going to bring it over top like this. It might be a little hard to see. I'm trying my best. And now I'm going to take the end of my string. I'm going to put it through the loop. One time. Pull it through, and 2 times. Pull it through. Okay, and now, just like the video show, I like how the one music school gal, or no, I'm sorry, the Cordoba video, they took the end of their string. Sorry, this is very hard to show. And they put it against the bridge like this, and then they tightened it. The reason why I like to do that is just to make sure that I have enough string here so that it underlaps my other strings, okay? If I don't have enough string, look, I have a piece of sweater stuck in there. If I didn't leave myself enough of an end string to underlap, I would just undo the knot and try again, okay? Again, this is not a one time and then it just doesn't work again kind of thing. You can tie this knot 10 times and just keep trying. This is really hard to show live, so if anybody wants me to do it again, let me know. Okay, so I've got my knot. I made sure that I have enough of the string end after my knot so that it's going to underlay my other strings once I get to them. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my string and I'm going to thread it through the tuning peg. If you can see on the tuning peg, there's a hole. And I'm going to thread it from the inside out. See if I can get a good view of this on the camera. So I'm threading it from the inside out this way. Okay? So that's why I said when I am restringing my ukulele, I always think inside out. So when I'm stringing the bottom, before I make my knot, down here, I go inside my ukulele out. And then when I'm stringing up here at the tuning peg, I go inside out. All right. So I've got my string threaded through the hole in my tuning peg so that it faces out, inside out. And now what I want to do is I want to grab the string right here at the nut with my 2 fingers. I'm just going to pinch it and I'm going to pull it back 2 fret lengths. So one, 2. Okay, so that there is some looseness here. And I'm going to leave that because that's what's going to give us enough room to wind our string, okay? So now I'm going to pinch the string down so that it holds that in place. And I'm going to take my peg winder and or my hand and I'm going to wind this. I always get these mixed up. Clockwise. Now I'm going to keep my finger, my thumb, on the string to hold it until I get 1 full rotation around. And once I get 1 full rotation, I can go ahead and let go of the short end, but I'm still going to keep my thumb here. I'm just just going to keep going around until my string has some tension. If you did not get this the first time, I'll be going over it again with the other strings. Now, I'm not going to make this super tight yet. All right. There's just no need to. It's just tight enough to hold on the ukulele. Now, what you want to look for up here at your tuning peg, okay? You want to make sure that when the string is winding around, it's not winding up, it's winding down. So every new rotation is underneath the one before it, okay? And again, there's a lot of methods for tying on strings up here at the top. Some people tie knots, some people weave this into the other string. I don't do that. I've never had a problem with it coming off. So I just keep it simple. And again, I hold the string down with my finger until it goes one rotation around, and then I can let it go and just wind it up. It does fine. Now, for the time being, I'm going to leave this little guy flapping, okay? There's no need to trim him yet. Okay, so we have our knot on the bottom with our string in long enough to fold under the other ones. And then we've got it attached to our tuning peg from the inside out, right? So we turned it clockwise, so the string is going from the inside and winding to the outside. That's what you want to look for. And all of our strings, when we wind it around, each new rotation is below the next one. Okay, any questions over that? Probably lots. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and work on my E string next, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to unwind it. I'm going to loosen the tension. And if you aren't sure, you can pluck the string as you turn. You hear it go down. So I know I'm going in the right direction. Just going to turn, turn, turn until it comes off. And if you have trouble, you can always just snip it. Snip it off. Cut it. Right, and eventually it gets loose enough to where I can just unwind it with my fingers.
Yay, success.
Yay, good! It's just that first one, huh?
Yeah.
So strange.
But you know what? I didn't I didn't use my rewinder correctly. I didn't know this part could spin. So I was trying to spin the whole thing.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't know this part could just spin by
Oh. Well, now you know.
Yep.
Okay, so again, before I put my new string on, I'm just gonna do a little fine dusting in here. Right up against the bridge. I'm gonna get in there. Places you normally wouldn't be able to where the string is. It's crazy how much dust gets in there and how you can't see it. The string's on. I'm gonna polish my fretboard a little bit here. Go up on the head. Oh, this looks so pretty. I feel like my ukulele is like, thank you.
Breath of fresh air.
All right, so I'm going to get my next string out, which is my E. And my package says it is purple, my favorite color.
Uh-oh. You know what?
What?
I blew it. The first string we removed was A, right?
Yeah.
Oh, crap.
Oh, what'd you do?
I put the G string in.
Oh, that's okay. You know what we talked about? You can just take it off and put on the A string.
Yep.
No big deal. Right? It's no big deal.
Oh, well, okay.
No big deal. Okay, so just like we did last time. All right, so make sure you have your E string this time.
Yeah, that's right. But I probably should do the A one first, right?
Oh, it doesn't matter.
Oh, it doesn't matter?
No, you can go ahead and do the E with me if you want. Or you can do your own thing. All right, so I'm gonna take my string, and again, I always say inside out. So I'm gonna thread it from the inside to the outside. Okay, and here's that knot again. And you know, I wanna leave a little extra on the end, remember, because we wanna make sure that it, oh, I forgot to mention, I'm sorry. So before you tie your knot, you wanna make sure that your A string, the end of it right here, this loose end, goes inside or on top of your E string so that it's woven into it. So the end here goes on top, it lays on top.
Okay.
This is how you get that sort of underlapping. All right, then I'm gonna tie my knot. So I'm gonna go under, over, oops, over, get out of here. Under, over, and through 2 times. Whoop! That's the nice thing about these videos online is they get to edit. This is live. All right, through, loop, de-loop. So I went through twice. And now I'm going to hold the string against the bridge. Gonna pull it tight. And because your A string, because the end of the A string was laying on top, it gets tucked into the knot of your E string. Right. So now I'm going to take off that color coding sticker I have on the end of my string. And once again, you go up here to your tuning peg. You want to make sure that you're going from the inside out. So my string should be coming out the side. That. Now I'm going to pinch it at the nut, and I'm going to pull it back 2 fret lengths. So 1, 2, and that is going to give me some looseness here. All right. Now, I'm just going to loop the string around the end, loop it around, and hold it with my thumb right here at the head. Take my peg winder, and I'm going to turn it clockwise until it gets to 1 rotation around. There we go. And now I'm going to let go at the end string. I'm going to let go, and I'm just going to keep winding. And again, what you want to look for is that each rotation goes underneath the next one. And sometimes it works out that it doesn't happen. And if that is not working out on your ukulele, you're just going to undo it and try again until it does. All right, looks good. So each of my rotations goes under the other, and it's very nice and secure. And again, I'm not tightening it all the way. I'm not tuning it yet. I'm just giving it enough tension so that it stays put. And that's just because if I would need to take it off and redo something again, I don't have to undo so much. All right, again, I'm just gonna leave these loose for now. And that's just because, again, in case I need to go back and redo something, if you snip these right away and you have to go back, it's going to be really hard to do this again. You're not going to have a lot of string to work with, okay? So this is just a fail safe. There's no reason to snip them right now. You can always do it at the end. All right. So I'm going to keep going here. I'm going to go ahead and do my C string, which is the lowest and thickest string on our ukuleles. All right, so if you forget which tuning peg it is, you can just follow your finger up the string, and it's your top tuning peg on the other side. So what you have to remember is that when you're doing your C and your G strings, you're going to do it the opposite of how you did your other ones. So if you turned it counterclockwise to loosen it, you're going to turn it clockwise to loosen these. Or my method, pluck and turn, it went up. So I know I need to turn it the other way. Pluck and turn, and you can hear it go down. So that's the way I'm going to turn it. Annie, how you doing?
Oh no, I don't feel like the knots are right.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Maybe. Because when I pull down to hold the string down below the bridge, that one, there's no knots. The knots disappear.
Oh.
I don't know if I'm tying it wrong.
So the C string is a little unique. And this is again where some people differ, but I only do one loop-de-loop. So unlike the other knots where there's two loop-de-loops, I do one. So I'm going to thread my string inside out at the bottom. And again, to get that sort of underlying effect of the other two strings, I'm going to make sure that the ends of my A string and my E string so this is my C string end right here that I'm holding in my hand. These two ends of my E and my A are laying on top of my C string. So that means that when I make my knot, they're going to be knotted into my C string. See that better now. So here's the two ends of my E and my A, and my C strings coming through the bridge, and then these lay on top.
Okay.
All right. Now this one you don't have to have so much on the end because you're kind of nearing the end of your bridge over here, right? So you don't need a ton of string.
Right.
Okay. So guy just wants to be all up in that business. All right, so I'm gonna put the end of my string right here, the short end, I'm gonna put it underneath the long end so it crosses underneath or behind it, whatever wording works for you. So underneath. Now I'm gonna bring it over the top. So I'm gonna loop it over the top and grab it with my other hand.
Okay. And then stick it through on from underneath.
And now I'm just gonna grab this right here to hold it secure. I'm gonna take this string and I'm gonna loop it under the loop and through. So underneath and up. Now, if you're doing a string other than C string, you wanna do that again. But since I'm doing my C string, I'm only gonna do one loop-de-loop.
Why is that?
Because the C string is so thick, it doesn't need to. It actually creates a lot of bulk at the bridge.
Oh, okay.
All right. So I'm going to take the end, I'm going to hold it against the bridge like this. And this step isn't necessary, but I like to do it. And then I'm just going to tighten that knot. Follow on up. I'm just gonna hold this in place. The thicker the string, the more ornery it gets. So I like to just make sure I have some tension on it. Take off the green sticker with my teeth. I'm going to thread the C string to the inside out. Inside out. Sticking out the side. Right to left. Now the C string doesn't need so much slack for winding because the string is so bulky. If I were to take the string and pinch it 2 fret lengths back like we've been doing, it would actually wind down and then start to come back up because it's so bulky, and you don't want that to happen. So just like we only did 1 loop-de-loop at the bridge, I'm only going to pull back my C string 1 fret length. So I'm going to pinch it at the nut, pull it back to the 1st fret, and now I'm going to wind it just like I did my other ones. And remember, this is opposite. So this one you're going to wind counterclockwise. Again, after 1 rotation, you should be able to let go of that end. Reminder, the things to check for. Make sure that your rotations are going underneath each other as they go around. And you make sure that your string is wound from the inside out. Right, you don't want it wound from the outside in. So it always goes from the inside out, from the middle to the out. Okay. Let's do our last string, our A string.
Okay, I figured it out.
You did?
What I did was, you know where you thread the string through?
Yeah.
I was tying the wrong end of the string. So therefore, that's why I couldn't get the knot to show up on the across the bridge.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you got it figured out. That's awesome. All right, last string. So this one, you're gonna do inside out on your bridge. Oh, I forgot to clean it. I am gonna polish it. See lots of dust. All right. Inside out. Make sure that all of the ends, sorry, let me get back a little bit. All of the ends of your ukulele strings that you've used so far, so your A, E, and C are bunched together, and they're going to go on top of your G string. Right, so G string is threaded through your bridge. These all lay on top of it, like that. You're gonna do your knot. You are gonna go under, over, where I hold it with my fingers and through 2 times. 1 and 2. I'm going to hold it against the bridge. Tighten her up.
You don't point the other way on the strings, huh?
What's that?
So you don't point the end on the other way.
You can. There's so many different ways you can do this.
Okay.
And if you do it this way and change your mind, you can always undo it and put it the other way. All right. So I'm going to come up here. Put it through my tuning peg inside out. I'm going to pinch it at the nut, pull it back 2 fret lengths, one, 2. Hold my finger there just to keep the tension. Loop this around. And tighten her up. Counterclockwise. Make sure it gets wound inside out. Sorry, counterclockwise. Yeah, from the inside to the outside. And after 1 full rotation, you can let go of the end. Keep winding. I want to check that all my rotations are going under each other, which they are. It's pretty good. All right. Look at that mess. All right, so after you've got all of your strings back on, your new strings, you have all of these. Sometimes they're longer. Now, Annie, I don't know about you, but I just use those Martins to restring, and I did not have a whole lot up here at the top, but these I do.
Right. Yeah.
So if you have a bunch, if you have a lot of string at the top, what you can do is, if you would like to keep it, you can coil it into like little tiny loops. They're really cute.
Yeah.
Because you just don't want them to rub on your fretboard when you play, because it'll make buzzes and just sounds you don't want to hear. And you can kind of tuck them under your strings like that. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay.
Sometimes I do that if it's a new type of string that I haven't used before, if I'm just not sure of it. Just in case I need to do the strings over again. And
Right.
that way I have plenty of string to work with. I haven't snipped off any excess. So you can kind of just tuck it in. I don't know. Other people might probably do this a lot neater than me. But I'm going to go ahead and cut mine.
Okay.
So you can either use your snippers if you have some snippers, or nail clippers work great.
Right.
All right, and I'm not going to snip them super close yet because it's not in tune. Just enough.
Wow, the different brands of strings, the thickness is different.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Did you get the right tuning?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right, so that's about good for me right now. I'll snip them shorter in just a little bit. And then what you can do is at the bottom here, you can snip off this excess string.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where I like to use the nail clippers. They get a little closer
Mm-hmm.
to the ends. Gives it a little bit of a cleaner cut. And before you go tonight, go ahead and write on your packaging that you got your strings out of, write the date. So today is February 2nd, 2021. Right, just make a note of it. And then make sure you keep this packaging and you slip it into your gig bag or a place that you want to keep this for a reference. So that way, the next time you're like, when did I change my strings last? You can be like, oh wait, let me check. Or you can be like, ooh, I hate these strings. I'm gonna keep this to remind me never to buy these. But in my case, I love these strings, so I kept it to remind myself to always get them. Oh yeah. All right, so I'm going to say this again, like I said in the beginning. Remember that after you change your strings, they are constantly going to go out of tune. And that's because your string, one, is nylon. It's like basically glorified fishing wire, right? And you hear that? It's like, pew. So what I recommend is just to play, to keep playing, to keep tuning. Keep your tuner on your ukulele all the time. Go to as many jam circles as you can. Just practice, keep playing. And just remember that this is going to happen and it's natural. Because a nylon string is really stretchy. So, you know, it's wound in its state before you put it on. It's in this like curled state. And then what you're doing is you're stretching it to achieve a certain note. So it's natural, it naturally wants to go back to that original state. So you're constantly pulling and tugging at it, and it wants to go back. It will lose that battle, but not for a while. I would say give it like a week of hardcore playing and maybe a couple weeks of like kind of general hobby playing. But again, I personally don't like to pull. Like some people like to say like, oh, just pull on it. Makes me cringe. But personal preference. You can do whatever you like. Oh my goodness. Yeah, these are really tight. Pew. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming to our restringing party. I hope I was able to help you. And if this is your first time doing it and you were scared of the knot, I hope you were able to get the knots. If you have a different type of bridge and you have questions over how to do that, you can absolutely reach out to us. I showed you our website. You can go there and email us. Yeah, I'd love to see you. And we have our first jam circle, not this Saturday, but next Saturday. You can find us D-Town Ukesters on Facebook. You want those tutorials, you can find them anywhere online, but if it helps you to go to the website, they're listed there in the blog.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much, Christy.
You're welcome. It was really nice to spend the night with you guys and good to see you all.
Thank you.
All right. Have a good night.
You too.
Hope to see you next Saturday.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.